Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Life of Logan. And today's episode is one that I hold close to my heart, probably more than some other ones, but it's about the gentleman's path. You see, in today's world, being a gentleman can feel outdated, misunderstood, or even dismissed altogether. But I believe being a true gentleman is one of the most radical and spiritual callings a man can have. It's not about being soft. It's about being centered. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present. It's not about performance, but rather principle. So, before we get started, before we unpack everything, I would like to ask you a favor. Please make sure that you like the video and make sure that you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss out on any more of this content. Now, let's talk about what it means to walk the gentleman's path. Starting off, we have the essence of a gentleman. So a gentleman isn't just someone who opens doors or speaks politely. Those are some of the outer layers, the outward things that you see, but the real essence, like with everything, is internal. A gentleman is a man who has done the inner work. He knows himself, disciplines himself, and carries himself with both grace and power. He protects peace, not just his own, but others too, if he needs to remove himself. Not because he's afraid of confrontation, but because he understands the cost of chaos. He is emotionally intelligent, spiritually grounded, and mentally resilient. He leads with presence, not pressure, influence, never intimidation. And where others seek control, a true gentleman offers an invitation. Which brings me to my next point of why does it seem like being a gentleman is so rare these days? Well, quite frankly, we live in a time where fast attention is often valued more than slow character. Where ego screams louder than souls do. And in that noise, the gentleman's way can feel like a whisper because that's the power of it. It's a quiet, intentional, rooted type of deal. And that's exactly why it stands out so much. There's a sacredness to resistance, to choosing your words carefully, to walking with honor even when no one's watching. That's where a gentleman lives, quite honestly. Not in performance, but in presence. And this path isn't walked to impress others. It's walked because you know who you are and you know whose energy you carry. This isn't some one-time decision. It's a daily choice. To respond instead of react. To think before you speak. To move with intention. To protect your name, your peace, and your legacy. To embrace the gentleman's path is to remember that power isn't about domination, but rather about alignment. It's the kind of power that walks into a room and doesn't need to announce itself. The kind that makes people feel safe, seen, and even sometimes with their souls stirred. It's not just for others. It's for you. Because when you walk this path, you hold your head higher. You sleep a little bit better. You look in the mirror and respect a man looking back at you. A true gentleman isn't shaped by applause or affirmation. He's shaped by the choices he makes when no one is watching. So if you ever felt like you were made for something deeper, something more principled, more powerful, more peaceful, maybe that's because the gentleman's path is calling you, my good sir. Not to be perfect, not to be intentional, not to be rigid, but to be rooted. And not to impress, but to inspire. Thank you for joining me today on Life of Logan. If this episode moved you in any way, share it with somebody who's walking this path or you feels like probably needs to walk this path, or someone who just needs to hear somebody talking with some common sense, I guess you could say. Keep growing, standing tall, and walking in honor. Until next time, take care.